Red Bull reveals more info about next year's car, Lewis Hamilton receives criticism for Ferrari move, and Mercedes is quickly preparing Antonelli for next season. Do consider subscribing to the channel. Now let's get straight into the latest F1 news. Red Bull is making plans for an evolution of its current RB20 car in preparation for the year 2025. The team believes that spending significant resources on a complete overhaul of the car would not be a wise investment at this time. The reason behind this careful approach is that the Milton Keynes-based team is currently in a tight competition for the championship against McLaren, which means that it is very important to gain solid improvements during the winter months. If Red Bull fails to make these improvements, it could risk having a much tougher and more challenging season next year. Adding to the complexity of their situation are the limits set by the cost cap, which restrict the amount of money that can be spent on car development. Additionally, the team is preparing for a significant change in the rules that will come into effect in 2026, at which point Red Bull will be running its own engine rather than using one from an existing supplier. Due to these factors, the team has decided to hold back from making any drastic changes to the car. Christian Horner, the team's boss, spoke about how they are navigating the different requirements for the present, the next year, and the upcoming 2026 season. He noted that in Formula One, teams often have to juggle various priorities and must take things one step at a time. It is crucial not to look too far into the future, because long-term planning in this sport can often be just a couple of months in advance. The lessons learned this year will have a direct impact on the car that is developed for next year. Horner explained that next year's car will be an evolution of the car they have this year, building on the components and features that have already been successful. He emphasized that many parts from last year's car have been carried forward to this season, mainly due to the cost cap regulations. Unless there are significant performance improvements available, it would not make sense to undertake major changes or redesigns. Red Bull's choice to refrain from making excessive car changes for the upcoming season coincides with its preparations to roll out its first Formula One engine at the start of 2026. The team has heavily invested in its new engine division, known as Red Bull Powertrains. They are optimistic that this investment will lead to advancements and gains for the team, despite the high costs associated with such a significant project. Horner has described this endeavor as their biggest challenge yet. The team has essentially created a startup business within their organization, aggressively hiring around 600 new employees. They have built a factory and established procedures to bring together a team that can work effectively within the Red Bull culture, which has seen success on the chassis side. Many of the new hires have come from rival teams and suppliers in the Formula One industry, so coordinating such a large team and aligning their various processes and supply chains to support two teams by 2026 is a significant undertaking. Furthermore, Red Bull has the advantage of working alongside a great partner, the Ford Motor Company, with whom it has developed a strong and effective relationship. However, as Horner pointed out, there will inevitably be some short-term struggles as they transition into this new stage. The long-term advantage of having engineers and other personnel all working under one roof is significant. They have already begun to see the benefits of teaming up chassis and engine engineers, particularly as they work on integrating the 2026 engine into the 2026 car design. As Red Bull continues to explore the issues that have hindered the performance of the current RB20, they have discovered problems related to wind tunnel correlation. The team is still operating out of the same Bedford facility that they began using when they entered Formula One back in 2005. Although they have initiated work on a brand new, state-of-the-art facility at their Milton Keynes factory, that new facility is not expected to be operational before 2026. Horner acknowledged that while Red Bull has made upgrades to its existing Bedford facility over the years, it does not match the technical capabilities of more modern wind tunnels. He stated that the team has always been aware of the limitations of the tunnel. However, as they have pushed the boundaries of aerodynamics in their cars and moved into finer margins of performance, these limitations have become more apparent. He mentioned that the decision to invest in a new wind tunnel was only possible once it became clear that the previous discussions about potentially banning teams from using wind tunnels had been dropped. There was a time when the idea was seriously considered, and it was uncertain whether computational fluid dynamics would surpass the need for physical wind tunnels. Adrian Newey, the team's chief technical officer, held off on advocating for a new wind tunnel until clearer guidelines were established. Eventually, it became evident that other teams like Aston Martin wanted to invest in new tunnels, prompting the FIA to change its earlier stance on the issue. This shift made it clear to Red Bull that they needed to act quickly to upgrade their facilities because within the constraints of the cost cap, their current wind tunnel was highly inefficient. When asked about the specific challenges Red Bull faces with its aging Bedford wind tunnel, Horner remarked that they are dealing with a facility that is around 60 years old and can be considered a relic from the Cold War era. While this old wind tunnel has been sufficient for producing some remarkable cars over the years, it does come with its own set of limitations. For example, the facility cannot operate effectively in temperatures below 5 degrees Celsius, and when the temperature goes above 25 degrees Celsius, the results become quite unstable. Andrea KIMI Antonelli has shared that a significant breakthrough during a test at Spa-Francorchamps was crucial in making a case to Mercedes that he had conquered a key area of weakness and was truly deserving of a race seat in Formula One. The young Italian driver had long been viewed as a strong candidate to take over from Lewis Hamilton at Mercedes for the 2025 season. However, during the initial testing sessions he participated in with an older Formula One car, some aspects of his performance became apparent that needed improvement. While everyone acknowledged his extraordinary raw speed and impressive ability to complete fast individual laps, he initially struggled when it came to demonstrating consistency in race-long stints. This became a notable area of concern that needed addressing for any real commitment to be made towards him. Antonelli worked diligently on enhancing that side of his performance and mentioned that there was a significant change in his abilities during the test following the Belgian Grand Prix before the summer break. This improvement proved to be substantial enough for Mercedes to feel confident in committing to him for the upcoming year. During a recent event at Il Festival dello Sport organized by La Gazzetta dello Sport, Antonelli specifically highlighted the importance of his run at Spa. He conveyed how this testing experience helped him grow as a driver, saying, "During the tests of previous cars, one thing that really impressed them was how quickly I reached the limit and how rapidly I achieved the target lap times that Mercedes required." He continued, addressing the challenges he faced, stating, "Yet I must admit that the biggest hurdle I encountered during testing was maintaining a strong race pace." He elaborated on his progress further, saying, "However, in the final 2 days of the testing at Spa, I made considerable improvements to my race pace, and that ultimately influenced Mercedes' decision to sign me." He noted that prior to this breakthrough, Mercedes had intentions of placing him in their car for 2025, but they were waiting to see if he could improve the weaknesses he had displayed. He remarked, "During the tests at Spa, I made significant progress, which played a pivotal role in convincing Mercedes." Furthermore, Antonelli shared details about a call he received with Toto Wolff, his engineer, and other team members from Mercedes just before the summer break. In that conversation, they informed me that I would be one of their drivers in 2025. It was a truly wonderful moment for me. While Mercedes has tried to temper expectations regarding Antonelli's debut season, especially given that his first practice session at Monza ended prematurely due to a crash after just 10 minutes, he himself is filled with ambition and high hopes about what he aims to achieve. Actually, Antonelli has set his sights on becoming a race winner in his rookie F1 season, explaining, "I feel fully prepared for the challenges of Formula One. When it comes to speed, I believe that will not be an issue for me. However, I know that a lot of work lies ahead, especially in terms of how to best manage the entire race weekend and learning all the necessary procedures. There are indeed many things I need to absorb and understand." He continued, "Winning some races next year would be an absolute dream come true. While it will not be easy since all the teams will be sporting very competitive cars, making it quite challenging, achieving that is my ultimate goal." He added that achieving some podium finishes would also be a positive outcome, but overall, his primary focus lies in securing some victories. Antonelli provided insight into how Mercedes is actively preparing him for the various challenges that come with an F1 weekend. The team employs a combination of overwhelming him with information during his testing sessions and setting up a home simulator for him to familiarize himself with the necessary skills. He emphasized the importance of remaining focused, saying, "It will be crucial for me to learn how not to lose my concentration whenever someone from the pit is communicating with me. They do this to provide vital information that can help me on the track." He further elaborated that in the testing sessions, they have been communicating with me increasingly because understanding the necessary procedures is critical in Formula One. So when they request changes, I must be able to identify the correct button to press on the steering wheel and understand what that particular change will do. These experiences are essential for him as he not only seeks to become a better driver, but also strives to adapt to the protocols and routines associated with having someone constantly on the radio guiding him. To assist in his preparation, he shared Mercedes plans to send me an actual steering wheel and a small simulator for my home, which will allow me to practice race starts, enabling me to refine that skill. He explained the significance of this steering wheel, noting it will be the real Formula One type steering wheel, which will help me memorize all the buttons as well. When driving at high speeds, there won't be any opportunity to glance down at the steering wheel. It's essential to have everything memorized. Sergio Perez recently made a light-hearted comment regarding the ongoing discussions about his performance in Formula One, specifically pointing out that some people have suggested he is struggling due to a lack of focus. When questioned about these struggles, he humorously wondered aloud if maybe his teammate Max Verstappen was also not focused, highlighting the competitive nature of their sport. Throughout the 2024 Formula One season, Perez has been under intense scrutiny regarding his future with Red Bull Racing and his place in the sport itself. As the season unfolds, he feels a strong need to secure his position for 2025, especially with Liam Lawson, one of his competitors, getting an opportunity to showcase his skills with the junior team, VCARB, as they approach the final 6 races of the season. In an interview with the media before the Singapore Grand Prix Perez was asked what factors contributed to his noticeable improvement in performance during the race in Baku, where he was strong enough to be in contention for a podium finish until a late incident with Ferrari's Carlos Sainz derailed his race. In responding to the suggestion that he might have been lacking focus, Perez seemed determined to assert that he was indeed fully concentrated and committed to the task at hand, without distractions gnawing at him during races. He commented, stating that he's aware of the criticism suggesting he wasn't focused during his less successful moments. He expressed that possibly this newfound clarity and focus could be seen as a reason for the recent improvement in his performance. While Verstappen has been experiencing continued success as he has been winning races during Perez's struggles, it is worth noting that even the reigning 3-time world champion has also encountered difficulties recently. Having gone winless in his last 8 races and reporting issues with the balance of his RB20 car. When asked about whether he felt any sense of relief seeing Verstappen also grappling with challenges, Perez was quick to redirect some attention back to the focus debate, jokingly suggesting that perhaps Verstappen too was not fully concentrated on racing. Despite the jokes, Perez emphasized the importance of facing the challenges head-on, as he noted that it was clear the team needed to tackle their current problems to improve their overall performance. He reflected positively on the progress Red Bull made during the Baku race, which he branded as a very encouraging step forward. It was particularly noteworthy that Verstappen managed to secure a second-place finish at the Singapore Grand Prix, especially considering that last year Red Bull experienced considerable difficulties at the Marina Bay circuit, where Verstappen could only manage a 5th-place finish, marking one of their few losses in the 2023 season. Perez also shared his thoughts on the potential for future improvements, hinting that there could be additional positive developments on the horizon for Red Bull. As the team aims to regain dominance in the Constructors' Championship from McLaren, who currently hold a significant 41-point lead, both Perez and the entire team remain hopeful for a comeback. When asked if he believed that the Constructors' Championship was still within reach, Perez answered affirmatively, expressing his unwavering belief that Red Bull was still very much in the race for the title. Team principal Christian Horner shared confidence in the progress they have made in understanding the issues affecting the RB20 since the Italian Grand Prix in September. With an upgrade set to be introduced for the upcoming United States Grand Prix at the Circuit of the Americas, the team is enthusiastic about their chances. During a recent discussion on the F1 Nation podcast regarding expectations for the upcoming upgrades at Circuit of the Americas, Horner remarked that traditionally, this point in the season sees all teams bring updates and improvements to their cars. He mentioned that competitors like Ferrari, Mercedes, and McLaren are also set to unveil significant upgrades, emphasizing the level of competition they face. Horner stressed the importance of building on the insights they have gained over the past few races, particularly since Monza, aiming to bring a car to COTA that exhibits a well-balanced performance, which is crucial for instilling confidence in drivers. He acknowledged that the unique challenges of the Austin circuit, especially the high-speed nature of the first sector and recent surface changes, add a layer of complexity to their preparations. With the added pressure of it being a sprint weekend, making a strong start is essential to success. Overall, the entire Red Bull team has been putting in considerable effort to understand their current challenges and develop effective solutions aimed at improving the car's performance for the upcoming race in Austin. Lewis Hamilton would not have got his blockbuster move to Ferrari had Mattia Binotto still been there as team principal. After achieving record-breaking success with Mercedes collecting 6 of his 7 drivers' titles in a period of 8 straight Mercedes Constructors triumphs from 2014-21, Hamilton will embark on a new career chapter from F1 2025 when he links up with Ferrari. The huge move was announced before the start of F1 2024, Hamilton activating an exit clause in his contract to reunite with current Ferrari team principal Fred Vasseur, who was his art boss on the junior racing scene. Vasseur replaced Binotto after the Italian's exit at the end of 2022, but if Binotto, now Audi's F1 chief, was still calling the shots, the door would not have opened to Hamilton. Asked by Corriere della Sera if he would have brought Hamilton to Ferrari, Binotto replied no. But he did very well to go to Ferrari. I agree with his decision. Explaining his reasoning, Binotto said that Hamilton's future Ferrari teammate Charles Leclerc, a Ferrari driver since 2019 after graduating from their academy, should be their centerpiece for an F1 title challenge, because Ferrari had set their sights on other drivers. And if the talent is Leclerc, he is the one who somehow I think should be taken to the target, claimed Binotto. Mercedes team boss Toto Wolff, while speaking to media including PlanetEF1.com on the morning after Hamilton's switch to Ferrari was announced, said Hamilton broke the news to him that he was going to Ferrari over breakfast at Wolff's home in Oxford, and Hamilton recalled how nerve-wracking that experience was. It's been a roller coaster of emotions from the moment I signed the contract, telling my boss. That was terrifying, Hamilton told The Times. But it is so exciting because I remember as a kid watching Michael. Every driver watches that car and you're like, what would it be like to sit in the red cockpit? Hamilton will soon find out. While Mercedes has found their successor to the 7-time world champion, having promoted teenage sensation Kimi Antonelli from Formula 2 to an F1 2025 seat. Meanwhile, Carlos Sainz, who Hamilton replaces at Ferrari, has agreed a multi-year deal with Williams. Aston Martin technical director Dan Fallows has detailed the creative way Adrian Newey is able to design and develop F1 cars. Newey will join Aston Martin in March 2025 as its managing technical partner following his exit from the Red Bull team. The 65-year-old will reunite with Fallows, who joined Aston Martin in 2022 after 15 years working with Newey at Red Bull. With Newey holding vast experience throughout various F1 eras, Fallows insisted Aston Martin can draw upon his outside-the-box thinking when it comes to designing a car. It's amazing he's somebody who really prioritizes the creative process, Fallows exclusively told Racing News 365. And I think that's something we sometimes forget about F1. We sort of believe that the engineering side of it is a meat grinder of ideas. We all have to take the time out to do the things that make us creative and make us able to solve those problems. And that really works for him. He sees things in a different way because he's had a background in looking at things in 2 dimensions. He finds that very easy to do. Newey's arrival at Aston Martin next year will allow him to have a significant impact on the development of the 2026 car, which will be constructed under a new set of technical regulations. Aston Martin is hoping to make a significant step forward after slipping into the midfield pack this season. Fallows is confident Newey will offer a new way of thinking when it comes to car design as it looks to propel up the pecking order. Those of us who've grown up with sort of more modern techniques find it much easier to visualize things in that domain, Fallows added. Having worked with him for quite a long time, he visualizes things in a very different way to maybe some of us who came along a bit afterwards. But he definitely gets there in the end, and he finds out the most creative way to work. And I think ultimately that's what you have to do. That's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one.